J on the beat.
Caps fans, 2019 NBA draft is nearly here. It is less than a week away. Many people have been waiting for this draft. It is the Zion Williamson draft, as all of us know. It's an interesting time to be alive. Now, point of the video today, guys, is to go through my predictions for the first 14 picks, all right, so we can speak about the lottery, okay? We'll look at this year's NBA draft caps made by New Era. This is the third year running that they've put these together. So we'll start with the upcoming team that has the number one pick, New Orleans Pelicans. So first and foremost, guys, you'll notice that there's no team logo on the front of this year's cap. There's a few other extra details entwined with these. So we'll look at the history of the cap, when they were established. Okay, the inspiration for the front logos is very similar to an old school Letterman jacket. Okay, so the cap features like a felt patching on the front of it. We'll see if we get you a good look at that one. All right, other thing, very small detail on the front here. You see the fleur-de-lis, the New Orleans Pelicans. Each team has this little gold embroidery as part of the front logo, which is actually distinct to the team. So a few extra details. These are a snapback, okay? Cool little inside team taping. Number one pick, as expected, I do believe will be Zion Williamson. So Zion Williamson, if we're looking for player comparisons, I think he could be anywhere between a more athletic Charles Barkley, same kind of body size, same kind of height, although Zion Williamson has a vertical leap that Chuck could only dream of. He could be seen as, Sean Kemp with handles due to his violence towards the ring and how he plays the game. Keep in mind, in terms of body dimensions, Zion is 6'6", 6'7", and 285 pounds. Now, as a conversion for you guys, that works out to nearly 130 kilos. This is a very, very large human being that moves with the speed, size, and agility of a gazelle. Probably the obvious comparison most people would have for him straight away would be LeBron James, considering LeBron came into the league and was quite large for his size, similar kind of height. One thing though with Zion compared to LeBron is that Zion doesn't really have the same passing acumen as LeBron did at the same age, okay? One thing to keep an eye on for Zion is a rookie record LeBron set as an all-round player. So LeBron averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists during his rookie season, but only 3 other players to do it. Oscar Robertson, Michael Jordan, and the immortal Tyreke Evans. Let's see if Zion can add his name to that list. With the number 2 pick, guys, we are talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. So keep in mind, both the Pelicans and the Grizzlies had kind of long lottery odds to land in the top couple of picks. Part of that is because of their record. Part of it's also the fact that this season the NBA flattened out the lottery odds. Okay, so it was much harder to secure a top pick with one of the worst records in the league. All the talk at the moment for number 2 pick has Ja Morant going to the Grizzlies. Now, with Morant, I do believe he will comfortably lead all rookies in turnovers. I think Mike Conley, there's a good chance he'll be traded away from the Grizzlies, even though he's the perfect mentor to bring Ja Morant up to NBA speed. It'll take some time for him to slow down the game in his head and really learn the nuances of an NBA offense. But he knows how to run a pick and roll. He can pull up from deep, and he's a very, very exciting player. Super athletic, and funny enough, his best case comparison is very much Russell Westbrook for lack of a better option. He plays very similar to Westbrook in that he can pull up from the elbows, he can shoot a little bit, he can make the same head-scratching turnovers, but athletically very, very gifted and has good size for his position. One thing to keep in mind with that, guys, is that if the Grizzlies don't hold on to Mike Conley and do trade him, it'll be interesting to see what kind of package they get back for Mike Conley. But they do manage to hold on to him. He is the perfect mentor for Ja Morant to lead him into the NBA stage. Pick number 3, the team that thought for all year, after a very horrible season, that they would be landing Zion Williamson in Gotham, and can confirm for you that they are definitely not. There is rumours that the Knicks may try and trade the 3rd pick for Anthony Davis, which would be a really good consolation prize. However, with the injury to Kevin Durant, tearing his Achilles the other day, get well soon, KD, it is looking more and more likely that the Knicks may hold on to their pick and continue to build from within. Lots of talk heading towards the off-season that New York would manage to find a way to trade for Anthony Davis and then look to sign Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant free agency. And with Durant's injury, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So my prediction for the Knicks at pick 3 is RJ Barrett. This guy's a do-it-all wing. He's got the exact, like if you made a player in a factory for today's modern NBA, his measurements, size, and physical traits would be exactly what you would put into a player. He can do it all. He can pass. He can shoot. His numbers, while Zion was out injured, actually spiked. So the first 2 games after Zion was injured, he scored 63 points across those 2 games, and very much played every single minute. Like he didn't come out of a game; he played every single minute of both of those games. If you He is left-handed, which always helps give guys an advantage in the NBA. I mean, so many guys are used to playing and used to guarding guys who are right-handed, so it does make a bit of a difference when someone is left-handed. One of the things to keep in mind, though, as he translates to the NBA is whether he can really improve his three-point shooting. So he was okay in college, but one of the big knocks on him is the fact that he only shot 67% from the free throw line. So you may actually find that his ability to stretch out and get to proper pull-up three-point distance and shoot over a pick and roll, be interesting to see how that develops for him. So if we're looking at best case, worst case for RJ Barrett, he might be because he's left-handed. You could probably compare him to Jalen Rose. Best case scenario would be Brandon Roy before the knee injuries as someone who could initiate the offense, pull up, make big shots and carry a team. Worst case scenario for him though is he ends up something like Harrison Barnes, who same thing, a lot of hype out of high school, a lot of hype out of college, and just hasn't lived up to it so far. With the 4th pick, guys, I'm going to do something here because I do not expect the Lakers to hold on to their pick. So you can see this year's Lakers cap, okay, but I'm not expecting them to hold on to their pick. I'm expecting that it will be traded as part of a package for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis ends up in Tinseltown. So we're going back to the Pelicans because I think that's where the draft pick's going. Anthony Davis ends up in New Orleans. New Orleans secures pick number 4, Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram. I think the Lakers managed to hold on to Kuzma in that trade, and I think to make it work they'll have to as well because Kuzma can space the floor around LeBron AD pick and rolls. So with pick 4, guys, I'm expecting the Pelicans to take DeAndre Hunter. Now, DeAndre Hunter played with Virginia, national champions. Had a huge game in the title game. He dropped 27 points and 9 rebounds. It was 4 of 5 from the three-point line. This kid has some potential to be something. And when you think about, okay, well, they're going to build around Zion, they're going to build around Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday still in New Orleans if they manage to hold on to him. Someone who's a 3-and-D prospect, can shoot the ball and space the floor around those guys, makes a lot of sense. One thing for DeAndre Hunter to remember, and when you speak about how they're going to build their team, he was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, which is a feather in his cap as he moves towards the NBA game. All right, guys, pick 5 is going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So you'll have to bear with me, guys, so I get the Cavs cap down. It's at the top of the wall. And as all of you will know, I am vertically challenged, so these ladders come in handy. The Cavs, guys, are still very much in rebuild mode after LeBron James left for the 2nd time and took his talents to California. This year's Cavs cap, you'll see there's some really funky detailing with use of the navy inside the basketball. This little stripe is on all the caps as well. Once again, another little detail, team history in there. All right, so pick 5, I've got the Cavs taking Jarrett Culver, another player from the national title game, played with Texas Tech and nearly carried them to a title. I do believe he's the right two-way wing to pair with Colin Sexton, as he has some shot-creating ability. He can play defense. He can shoot the ball. He does a little bit of everything. And as they continue to build forward, possibly they'll trade Kevin Love this offseason and get fair value for him. There might be some other contracts they look to move on, but he's the right kind of building block to fit with Colin Sexton as they go forward. But one thing with Jarrett Culver is he's very much a straight line athlete. So he needs to develop a change of pace. He needs to get better at reading an NBA defense to unlock his full potential at the next level. Pick number 6. Where are we at? Phoenix Suns, here we go. So this year, guys, the Suns very much tried to have Devin Booker run as a starting point guard, and it did not have great results. So their coach, gone after one season, they're moving on in a new direction, okay, but very much so. Oh, there we go. Let's have another look at that little embroidery there with the Suns logo. It's kind of cool. Very much looking to move in a new direction. We're talking, or the player I think they will take is a point guard. They'll move Devin Booker away from being a full-time point guard to get him some help. And I think the best player for them to take is Coby White. Now, Coby White was the point guard for UNC. He ran a supercharged offense there under Roy Williams. The kid is electric out in transition. He can get up and down the floor. He knows how to run a pick and roll. But somewhere I think he'll really help Devin Booker and the Suns is he is a great spot-up shooter. So the ability for him to spot up off Devin Booker or initiate an offense will give them a two-headed monster of a backcourt as they go forward. I think that will work for them as they go forward. So the fact he can play, either backcourt position really helps. One other interesting piece of trivia for you about Coby White is that he actually broke Michael Jordan's freshman scoring record at UNC, a record that has obviously stood, so back in the 80s, so that's 30 odd years, okay? So the kid can play, the kid can score. Let's see how he goes at the next level. In terms of best case scenario, worst case scenario for Coby White, his ability to run the pick and roll and defend, I think he could be a much more athletic version of Malcolm Brogdon, and we all know how important he was for the Bucks this season. If you're talking about, worst case scenario, he could be Gilbert Arenas. So, and that's both good and bad. Let's remember with Gilbert, when he's on, but when he's not, he's going 4 for 35, and it's one of those nights. All right, Chicago Bulls desperately need a point guard, and I think Bulls fans will be a little upset that Coby White is falling to the Suns in this mock draft. So I think they take Darius Garland, who is the best point guard available. All right, so Darius Garland, guys, didn't play much this season. He only played a few games at the start of the year because of an injury, so he spent most of the year out. So he's a little bit of a surprise packet, a little bit of a mystery. Teams aren't really sure where and how to project him, so his pro days and his measurements will be very important. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's hard to project him because he didn't play much, okay? In terms of best case, worst case, best case scenario, and one thing about Darius Garland is he actually, in the small number of games he played, he had more turnovers and assists. As a point guard, he'll have to get much better with his floor vision and creating for others, but the dude can score the ball. So, I mean, my best case, worst case scenario for him is a Kevin Johnson or a Lou Williams on the offensive end, okay? And then worst case scenario is another much type point guard coming out of college, coming out of high school, Sebastian Telfair, who just never put it together, never learned the balance of an NBA offense and was out of the league after a few years. Pick 8, guys. Now, I've got the Atlanta Hawks, who've got a number of picks in the first and second round of the next coming drafts. So they've made no qualms, queries, or surprises about the fact they are going to build through the draft, and they believe that's the way forward for them. Okay, Trey Young, their first round pick last year, had a really good rookie season. He started slow but come on very strong towards the end of the year. So I've got the Atlanta Hawks taking Cam Reddish. So Cam Reddish was inconsistent his 1 year at Duke. He didn't quite fit in with the other star-studded players in RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson, but I do think he has natural ability to become a better player at the next level. He gets more opportunity. So in Atlanta, he'll have the ability to handle the ball a bit more. He'll have the ability to run pick and roll. He's a great spot-up shooter, so he can work off Trey Young. The fact he won't have to create all the offense, he'll have Trey Young and others help him carry that load, I think will help quite a lot. If we're looking at things, he's an elite physical specimen. I mean, something that surprises people about Cam Reddish, he's 6'9". The dude's got a really strong body, a really big body. He's a true sort of small forward. So, I mean, you're thinking and talking about a guy who's got the size and physical tools of essentially a modern day NBA power forward, but has only ever played on the perimeter. So it'd be very interesting to see how Atlanta use him, considering they've tried to emulate the Warriors, play positionless basketball. So he could actually see a lot more time at the 3 and 4 rather than the 2 and 3 that he's played in college and high school. So best case, worst case for Cam Reddish. If we go on best cases Atlanta, let's say he could be Joe Johnson at his Atlanta peak, ISO Joe 2.0. Worst case scenario, he is trick or treat Jeff Green, and you don't know what you're getting night to night. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in the NBA as he goes forward. Pick number 9, Washington Wizards. Oh, I can go back in there. So the Wizards are in a bit of flux. John Wall's out for over 12 months. First he had knee surgery. In the wake of his knee surgery at home, he managed to slip, fall and tear his Achilles. So this could be a bit of a lost season for Washington. Their GM, their longtime GM, Andy Grunfield's just been fired. So there is talk that Washington could go into a full rebuild while they wait for John Wall to heal, which would mean Bradley Beal is playing a different area code or postcode this upcoming season. I have the Hawks taking Jackson Hayes, who is a big guy out of Texas, who is moving up draft boards. Every year, guys, there's always a center that moves up draft boards as we get closer and closer to the day of the draft. So Jackson Hayes grew 10 inches during high school and went from 5'10 to 6'10 in the space of a couple of years. So he is still very raw. He is still growing into his body. The reason why big guys move up the board every year as we push closer to draft day is an old age. You can't teach height. Okay, he's very raw, but he's physical. He's got great athleticism. He's got great ability to move laterally for a big guy. You're talking about someone who has the ability to, run pick and roll with John Wall, run pick and roll with Bradley Beal. They hold on to both of them. Defensively, he was the second best shot blocker in college, so he brings something at defensive end. Their current center rotation with Dwight Howard and Ian Mahinmi is a dumpster fire. I think Washington will look to move on from both of those guys sooner rather than later. Okay, but I think he pairs well as a rim-running big man with both of those guards if they hold on to him or whatever decision they choose going forward. Best case, worst case here, very obvious. DeAndre Jordan, best case scenario, grab rebounds, block shots, anchor the defensive end, and then set all kinds of picks for his guards. Worst case though, you're talking about someone like Bismack Biyombo, who can still block shots, can still grab rebounds, but offers absolutely nothing on the offensive end. He's inconsistent and his effort level wanes. But let's see how he ends up. But I've got Jackson Hayes going to the Wizards. Only a couple more picks to go, guys. We're back with the Atlanta Hawks. So where are we at with the Wizards? Second lottery pick for the Atlanta Hawks, pick number 10. Now there is talk with the Atlanta Hawks, okay, that they could be trying to package their 2 first rounders or even pick 10 and something else to move up in the draft. I think they're trying to leapfrog Phoenix, okay, to get a shot at someone like Kobe White or even Jarrett Culver. So the Cavs unsold on where they're at in the draft. There is talk that there could be a trade with the Cavs where they'll to move up to pick 5 and target someone like Jarrett Culver as a do-it-all wing who pairs well with Trey Young. They do stay at pick number 10. All right, I think they will take Sekou Doumbouya. Now, Sekou Doumbouya, African immigrant, moved to France when he was very young, has been playing professionally in France for a couple of years now. Very raw, but has great physical tools. He's big, he's athletic. One thing with Atlanta, and their GM has made no qualms or queries about this, he's very much said because keep in mind the Atlanta GM was originally from Golden State, and he is trying to recreate the success they've had in Golden State with similar players. So last year, he compared Trey Young to Steph Curry. Kevin Huerter, he compared to Klay Thompson as a 3-and-D specialist. Well, in Sekou Doumbouya, I think they get their Draymond Green. All right. The dude's 6'9" with an 8'11" standing reach. Okay, he can guard 1 through 5. He has the ability to push in transition, same as Draymond. He's going to need some work offensively. Interesting point here is that as a kid, he played soccer. So we're talking about other famous draftees that were big athletes, very fluid on their feet that played soccer. You talk about Hakeem Olajuwon, Joel Embiid, Steve Nash. You start to think whether NBA scouts should be spending more time on soccer pitches looking for big athletes who know how to use their feet as opposed to watching AAU games. So yes, in Sekou Doumbouya, I do think the Atlanta Hawks get their Draymond Green. Let's see how that turns out for them though. Going to need a lot of work to get to where he's going. Pick number 11, guys, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now there is talk that the Minnesota Timberwolves have made a promise. Let me find the cap. All right, back up the top. So there is talk that the Minnesota Timberwolves have made a promise to Rui Hachimura, Now, he played for Gonzaga, I do believe, in the previous season. Really big body. So he's 234 pounds. Solid. He's 6'7", 6'8". Knows how to use his body. He's very physical in the post. Very physical on the ball. Okay. The reason why there's rumours that possibly the Timberwolves have made a promise to him is the fact that he skipped his pro day, he skipped the combine, so he's done no measurements, no testing. So there is a rumour that someone towards the back end of the lottery has made him a promise, and considering the Timberwolves' need of somebody on the wing, teams are circling on them as the team that has made the promise. Now, a big thing with this guy is a couple of things with him. He converted 25 and ones, so in the 37 college games he played. So he's strong, knows how to get to the basket, and knows how to finish through contact. Not always the case with college players. So the fact he can do that at a young age bodes well for his ability as he gets to the NBA. He's got long arms, and another thing with this guy, he's got buckets for hands. So his ability to finish around the hoop and everything else sort of ties in with his ability to stretch his arms out, hold onto the ball, palm the ball, and finish through contact. He's got untapped potential as a scorer. Probably one thing though, he's got a very average feel for the game. All right, he had more turnovers than assists, so his ability to create for others is a question mark. So with this, I do believe you're looking at, if you talk about best case scenario for Rui Hachimura, is Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi coming out of college, not a super athlete, but very, very powerful, same as Rui. He still now, doesn't really pass guys open the same way LeBron does. He more makes the pass the defense gives him. So if you want to look at a best case scenario of who he could be in the NBA and who he compares to, I think Kawhi Leonard is a really good comparison for him. If you're looking at a worst case scenario, you probably look at Darius Miller. A big guy, who had great physical tools, super athlete, strong, bullied guys in high school, but just never got to his true potential and struggled at the next level as he couldn't figure out NBA defenses and was out of the league a little after playing with the Clippers. Next we have the Charlotte Hornets. Now, making a prediction with the Charlotte Hornets and this may pain some Hornets fans, making a prediction that they do not re-sign Kemba Walker. I don't think the Hornets can afford to offer him the supermax that he's now entitled to by making an All-NBA team. And I think once they offer him a standard maximum contract, I think he looks elsewhere. I'm unsure where he goes, but I do think Charlotte finally starts a long overdue rebuild. And I think the first player they take is Nasir Little. Now, Nasir Little played at UNC, so he played at the same college as Michael Jordan. I think he'll get the inside 411 from Roy Williams as to what kind of player he is. Had a lot of hype coming out of high school into college. He was a top 5 prospect and didn't get many minutes at UNC. He didn't live up to the hype. He only averaged about 18 minutes a game. He battled for court time. He didn't quite work in Roy Williams' system, but the physical tools are obvious. The potential is obvious. He's just going to need to put it together. All right, so he didn't shoot the three well, but one thing that helps there is he did shoot 77% from the foul line. Okay, so there's proof there that he can grow. All right. The other thing is he can play both forwards positions as they go forward, so he does fit long term next to their draft pick last year, Miles Bridges, who had a pretty good rookie season. Just needs more minutes, which he'll get on a rebuilding team next year. So why I keep talking about free throw percentage with guys who are possibly able to shoot and not shoot is that if you read any stats blogs at all, they'll talk about a player's ability to translate to the NBA three-point line. A player's free throw percentage rather than their three-point percentage is generally speaking a much better indicator as to whether the player has good mechanics and can transition to the NBA three-point line. So if you compare Nasir Little at 77%, back with RJ Barrett at 67%, there's actually a greater chance that Nasir Little will become a better, spot-up shooter and a better shooter at the NBA level than RJ Barrett, which then gives him 3-and-D, potential and the ability to possibly initiate the offense as well. So best case, worst case scenario for Nasir Little, I'm going to go with a Charlotte Bobcats legend. Okay, I think he could be Crash Wallace. Similar build to Gerald Wallace, similar kind of game. The potential there that if he can develop a three-point shot, he can be much better offensively, but we'll go with Gerald Wallace as a player comp. Worst case, let's go with Chase Budinger, who a lot of Timberwolves fans will remember, and a lot of Rockets fans will remember. He is actually now playing professional volleyball after some knee injuries. Was never the same player. Miami Heat has pick number 13, and my prediction for them, where's the Heat cap? It's in the wrong spot. Oh. Hang on guys, vertically challenged again, I need the ladder. If you guys watch the draft at all, you will hear a lot, and especially Jay Billis, talk about wingspan and potential. I am 5'6", okay, and I have the arms of a T-Rex. Wingspan and potential, not my things, but I can talk about them quite well. Miami Heat are kind of stuck in limbo at the moment. So they've got some big contracts and some mid-sized contracts to average players, okay? I think it really hurt them this year that James Johnson had a sports hernia injury at the start of the year and really knocked him out and knocked him out of the rhythm. He creates a lot of offense for them. He helps settle the team down. He's also, I think, like a third black belt or a third Dan black belt in Taekwondo. He is the dude in the NBA that nobody wants to mess with. So when a scuffle breaks out and you see him walk in the middle of a scuffle, you'll notice quickly that other players, this person, get out of the way. He is a scary dude. But I got Miami taking PJ Washington. He's an undersized power forward. He knows how to shoot the ball. Look at the taping on the inside of there. All right. He's very offensively skilled. He's got a little bit of a post game. He's physical for his size. I'm not sure how he fits on them long term. I mean, long term, he's going to fit next to Bam Adebayo if they go the rebuild mode, because he can space the floor, and while he's not great defensively, Bam can help clean up those mistakes. But at this end of the lottery, guys, you're hoping for, if you can land somebody who's a long-term starter. It doesn't happen often. So pick 13, I've got PJ Washington going to the Miami Heat. Now, in terms of best case, worst case, I'm going to go with the Antoines. Antoine Jamison, Antoine Walker. And I do mean this in both cases, best case and worst case scenario. At their best, both players were super scorers who could stretch the floor and win games single-handedly. At their worst, though, they were defensive liabilities and chuckers. So we'll see which way PJ Washington works out. So I've got them taking Romeo Langford, guys. Now, Romeo Langford played through a torn ligament in his shooting thumb. So while he had a hot start to the season, he did drop off as the season went further along. He played on a woefully undermanned Indiana team, so he did carry a big load on both ends of the floor. So scouts are looking at his physical tools, they're looking at his game tape and saying, okay, well, if he's healthy, if he's on a better team, he could be a much better player than what he managed to show. I do like that little clover in there. Those little NBA logos as part of that series is kind of cool. All right, so Romeo Langford, guys, is 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan. He's long, he's a fluid athlete. He's shown the ability to get to the bucket. He's shown the ability to lead his team in points, rebounds, and assists. And probably the one thing he has that no one else in this draft has is he is a shot maker. He can create his own offense. All right, so to get a player like that, especially with talk that Kyrie Irving is leaving the Celtics this offseason, they're going to have to, Scary Terry Rozier enters restricted free agency. The backcourt in Boston is not set. So to get an athlete who can make shots, who can create offense, and who needs to improve his defense, he will be under the right coach in Brad Stevens, because it seems like everyone plays better defense under Brad Stevens. Now, in terms of best case, worst case, there's an upside to this guy that isn't normally there at this stage of the draft. Okay, at pick 14, and from a play comp point of view, I'm going to go with Dwayne Wade. He plays very similar to Dwayne did at college, similar kind of numbers in his ability to shoot the ball, get to the bucket, create for others, and be unafraid of the moment. Okay, as I said, he carried a big load in Indiana. We'll see how he translates. And we want to go best case, worst case. Worst case for Romeo Langford, I'll take Penny Hardaway after the knee injuries. He was just never the same player. We'll see if he can figure it out. That wraps up our lottery preview, guys. We'll have a little bit more for you guys on the NBA as we go forward. We're up to, what do we got? We've got Game 6, possibly a Game 7 as we go forward with the NBA Finals. There's plenty to play out this off-season. With the off-season this year in the NBA, keep in mind the salary cap is going up again. So there's quite a few teams that have money. They've got money to spend, they've got money to trade. And as always, there's not enough superstars to go around. So we'll find out, and we'll do a draft recap, we'll do an off-season recap for you guys a little closer to the start of the season once all the dust is settled. We'll find out where players have landed, who's been traded where, and we'll tell you and make our prediction for who's winning each conference and who's winning the finals. But for now, guys, that's all from me. Enjoy the draft. Listen to Jay Billis talk about wingspan and potential. And yeah, take care.